Hey, welcome to Ploen Patterns. My name is Josefine and today I will be showing you how to make this top. I get quite a lot of questions on how to make this sleeve. Many think it looks quite intimidating, so I thought I would create a video to show you exactly how I do it, step by step. This is the Vera top view C. It has quite an A-line shape and nice sleeve detail. The size is based on your bust measurement, so choose the size that is closest to your bust. To get started, you need your PDF pattern. You can find it on ploenpatterns.com and download it. You print it out on your regular at-home printer and you tape the pages together.
This is a layered PDF. On the left-hand side in Adobe Reader, you can deselect all the sizes you don't want to print. Make sure your scale is to 100% and only print the pages you need. You can find all the information in the pattern. If you want to buy the Vera pattern, the PDF, you can find the link in the description below.
For fabric, you need a lightweight woven fabric. I chose this viscose, 100% viscose, quite drapey, flowy. This creates quite a soft look. If you chose a cotton poplin or a voile or something, the look will be a bit more structured. You will also need elastic for the sleeves. And you will need a button if you don't choose to just use a ring like I did. And you need matching thread.
Start off by cutting out all the pieces. Make sure the fabric is soft and smooth underneath before you cut. Seam allowances are included in the pattern. 1 centimeter, and that's 3/8 of an inch, if nothing else is mentioned. I mark my notches by cutting a few millimeters into the fabric. You can use a pin or chalk, whatever you prefer. Mark the ends of the darts and all the notches. This is how I mark my bust point, the end of the darts. I put a pin on the apex of the dart in the pattern through all the layers, and then I fold it over and put a new pin only through the fabric. I then remove the pattern and I have one needle and fold the fabric over to put another needle through the other side. So when I pull the fabric apart, I have 2 pins marking the bust points. From here I can easily fold the dart and sew it exactly to the correct point. Sew the darts and then stay stitch around the curved neckline, arm side, both on the bodice pieces and on the facings. This is to prevent the fabric from stretching out. Place the facings right sides together, the front and the back pieces, and sew the shoulder seams. Do this on the bodice pieces as well. Then press your seam allowances apart. Overlock, serge or zigzag all around the pattern pieces as described in the instructions. Press the sleeve. The press lines are marked on the sleeve pattern. Fold over and give it a good steam. Sew the channel for the elastic. The first seam goes on top of the overlock, and the next one goes 1.5 centimeters or half an inch above it. I didn't have any 1 centimeter wide elastic on hand, so I decided to sew together two smaller elastics. I just held the two pieces of a narrow elastic together and sewed a zigzag stitch to connect them. Pull your elastic through the sleeve channel. Use a safety pin to secure it and guide the elastic through the channel. Pin the elastic in place at the end so it doesn't slip through. Distribute the ruffles neatly and evenly. Then secure the elastic in place on your sewing machine. Sew a few times back and forth and make sure the elastic will stay in place. If you are adding a button and button loop, this is the point where you would do that, as described in step 9 of the instructions. Since I chose to use this ring thing instead, I just moved on to the next step at this point. Place the facings on top of the bodies, right sides together. You start on the center back at the notch and go all around the neckline. On the armholes you go from notch to notch, so the end of the facings will be free and not sewn down. These parts of the facings will be sewn in a later step. Cut into the seam allowances to make the curves easier to shape and turn. Snip off excess fabric at the corners. Press the seam allowances open as good as you can. It can be a bit tricky, but using a point turner as I'm doing here helps a lot. Turn the bodice right side out. Pull the back pieces through the front pieces through the shoulders, like I'm doing here. Then press everything and make sure there's no wrinkles and everything lays flat. Now it's time to baste the sleeves to the bodies. The sleeve is symmetrical, it doesn't have any front or back, so it doesn't matter which sleeve you take. There's no right and left sleeve, so to say. So place the sleeve right sides together. You can start at the front or the back, it doesn't matter, but right sides together with the right side of the bodies. You will see the sleeve curve mimics the armhole curve, so it's really easy to fit them together. And the sleeve should come right up to the notch on the bodies, where the facing is not completely sewn. Pin it in place and then baste. So use a small seam allowance and a long straight stitch just to keep it in place. When you have basted the sleeve in place, now it's time to fold over the facing piece so that the facing and the bodice is right sides together, just as you sewn them before, and the sleeve piece is sandwiched in between. If you're unsure, you can always pin and then turn to the right side and see if it looks correct. If it does, just go ahead and sew. So this is what we have now. The sleeve is in place, it should look correct. If it doesn't, you will kind of see what to do when you put it like this. You can put it on a hanger or just hold it up. But the side is completely open, so let's close it. Place the back pieces of the bodies right sides together with the front piece. Pin and then sew from the sleeve hem to the bottom of the garment on both sides. Do the same to the center back, right sides together and sew all the way up to the notch. Make sure you connect your seam to your previous seam on the facing so that there's no gap. Then press the seam allowances open. For the hem, just fold twice, 1 centimeter and then 1 centimeter again, and then stitch in place. And of course it's a good idea to press before you sew it, so it stays in place. If you press it really well, you don't have to pin. As a last detail, since I didn't have a suitable button for this top, I used this ring. I just sewed it in place as the last detail. And I made sure that I could pull it over my head too.
Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more sewing videos and tutorials.